What happens when the most important decision of your life isn't yours to make? When becoming a bride becomes becoming faceless? When love and ownership become indistinguishable? Silent Hill isn't just another survival horror game. It's a visceral exploration of identity, erasure, bodily autonomy, and the psychological fractures that occur when women are told that their lives belong to everyone but themselves. Today we are diving deep into how this game transforms the drama of coerced marriage into grotesque, unforgettable horror. Why every monster, every ritual, and every drop of blood carries profound meaning. This is the story of Shimizu Hinako, or rather the story of two Hinakos, one fighting for the freedom that is being taken away from her and one submitting to tradition, accepting her fate. Both screaming from the same soul. Let's talk about Silent Hill F. In Silent Hill, we don't witness one protagonist, we witness a fractured psyche at war with itself. Set in 1960s Japan, the game presents us two manifestations of Hinako Shimizu, one who submits to the suffocating expectations of marriage and tradition, and another one who desperately fights for her freedom and autonomy. This duality isn't merely a narrative device, it's the very foundation of the game's exploration of how marriage, particularly when imposed without the true agency, creates psychological fractures within women, leading them between two, who they are and who they are expected to become. The genius of Silent Hill lies in how it transforms the abstract drama of coerced marriage into visceral, grotesque horror. Every monster, every ritual, every twisted corridor of the other world serve as a metaphor for the violence done to women's identity when their agency is stripped away. While the game is set in a specific cultural context, the themes it explores, the loss of self, the branding as property, the erasure of identity, are universal experiences that women across cultures and throughout history have endured. This isn't just a game about running from demons, it's about the internal demons created when society demands you sacrifice yourself on the altar of tradition. The split between Hinako's human self and Fox self represents the fundamental schism in her identity. One version accepts the Fox mask, embraces the ritual, and becomes the Shiromoku, the white bride, faceless and voiceless. The other version clings desperately to her individuality, her friendships, her right to choose her own path. These aren't truly separate people. They are the warning fractions within a single woman being torn apart by possible pressure. The human Hinako embodies her authentic self, the girl who values her friendship with Shu and who resents her abusive father and spineless mother, who sees in her sister Junko a cautionary tale of what marriage becomes. She carries rage, and sorrow in equal measure, watching as the women around her are hollowed out by their roles as wives. The Fox Hinako conversely represents the conditioning, the part of her that's been groomed since childhood to accept this fate, to see marriage as inevitable, even desirable. What makes this portrayal so haunting is that neither version is vandalized. The game understands that the part of Hinako that considered submission isn't weak, it's exhausted. It's the part of her that sees how much life easier would be if she just openly stopped fighting, she stopped wanting, stopped being herself. It's the trauma response of a woman who's learned that resistance brings only more pain. The rituals of marriage as body horror. Silent Hill F transforms the traditional elements of a Japanese wedding into a sequence of mutilations that literalize what marriage symbolically does to many women's identities. The game doesn't merely suggest that Hinako feels violated by these expectations, it shows us her body being systematically dismantled and reconstructed according to someone else's design. The hand. In one of the most disturbing sequences, Hinako's right hand, significantly her dominant hand, the one she used to act upon the world, is severed and replaced with a clawed fox limb. This grotesque transformation mirrors the traditional practice of asking for a woman's hand in marriage. When a man asks for a hand, he's requesting ownership, the right to possess and control. This ritualistic replacement visualizes the violence inherent in this supposedly romantic action. She literally loses her ability to grasp her own life, her human agency, replaced with an animal appendage that marks her as a property of the Fox clan. The branding. Next, Hinako's back is branded with the insignia of the Tsuneki clan, Fox Mask family. Not her family, not a symbol that represents her identity, a mark of ownership seared into her flesh. I hate her. The game doesn't let us look away from what this represents. Women being transferred as property between families, their own lineage and identity mattering less than the clan they are being absorbed into. The physical pain of the branding mirrors the psychological violence of being told you must abandon your family's name, your history, your very bloodline to belong to your husband. The face. The final and most devastating ritual involves the top of Hinako's face being carved away for a false mask grafted directly onto her skull, her identity, quite literally her face. The most fundamental aspect of how we recognize ourselves and are recognized by others is removed and replaced with a uniform mask. This is the game's most explicit statement about what marriage represents for many women in this era. Complete erasure of the self. She becomes one of the countless faceless brides, indistinguishable from any other woman who's been absorbed into this system. When we later encounter Junko, Hinako's sister, wearing an owl mask instead of her face, we understand what she's undergone. We understand that she's undergone the same erasure through marriage, a different family. These aren't abstract metaphors, they are visceral demonstration of what it means to be told your identity, your body, and your future aren't yours to control. The game doesn't force Hinako to perform these rituals herself, rather they manifest as the horrifying transformation happening to her, visualizing the psychological and social dismemberment that arranged marriage or marriage represents itself for a moment. The creature design in Silent Hill F tells its own story about how Hinako perceives marriage and gender roles. The masculine monster appears on all four, animalistic and predatory, panting as they chase Hinako through the choked streets. When they catch her, they lick her face, an intimate violation that combines desire with rehumanization. These creatures embody Hinako's fear of male sexuality, untempered by her respect or consent, being treated as prey rather than a person. But the feminine monsters are perhaps even more disturbing. They retain an eerie beauty despite bodies that have been torn apart and stitched back together like broken dolls. This design choice speaks volumes. Women in the system maintain their decorative functions even as they are psychologically destroyed. They must remain beautiful, remain pleasing, remain functional as ornaments even when they are screaming inside. The doll-like quality reinforces how women were viewed and viewed themselves as objects to be shaped, posed, and discarded according to male desires. Contrast between these types illustrate Hinako's understanding that both men and women are trapped in the system, but the suffering takes on a different form. Men become beasts, unburdened by restraint. Women becomes beautiful gods, forced to smile through their own dismay. Shimizu family, a cycle of abuse. Hinako's terror of marriage doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's rooted in what she's witnessed in her own home. Her father is a violent drunk who rules through fear, lashing out at anyone who challenges him. Her mother is the enabling participant, punishing Hinako for speaking against her father rather than protecting her daughter. This is the only model of marriage Hinako has ever known. One partner wielding violence, the other partner complicit in that violence, and children's caught in the crossfire. The game reveals that Hinako and her sister Junko are being married off to wealthy families to pay off their father's debt. They are not daughters, they are assets to be liquidated, sacrificial lamb for their father's financial salvation. When Hinako attempts to return home after running away, her father refuses to let her back, declaring he'd rather be rid of a strung-out girl than accept her return. Even her mother, calling to summon her home, does so only to facilitate the arranged marriage, not to offer safety or comfort. The journal entries scattered throughout the game paint a devastating picture of Hinako's home life, a place where her thoughts are policed, her friendships are forbidden, and her autonomy is systematically crushed. She watches her perfect sister Junko become a living ghost after marriage, all personality and vitality drained away. This is the fate Hinako sees awaiting her, not partnership or love, but disappearance. Fox Mask and Kotoyuki, the complexity of coercion. The character of Fox Mask, revealed through subsequent playthroughs to be Kotoyuki Tsuneki, a boy Hinako once saved from a fox attack, complicates the narrative in important ways. The game doesn't present him as a simple villain. In fact, Hinako has genuine feelings for him, and in some endings, elements of care between them are evident. Yet the game also shows how even feelings of affection become corrupted and embedded in a coercive framework. In the other world, False Mask is manipulative and controlling. He walks ahead of Hinako, forcing her to follow without explanation. He guides her through the rituals that will transform her into a bride, presenting these mutilations as inevitable steps that she must take. This mirrors how arranged marriage are often justified as traditions that must be followed, a path that must be walked regardless of the woman's desire. The complexity here is crucial. Silent Hill F isn't arguing that every marriage was loveless or that every man was a monster. It's arguing that the system itself was the horror. Marriage as institution that requires women to erase themselves, even if Kotoyuki himself has genuine feelings for Hinako. The fact that she has no choice transforms what might have been love into another form of violence. Consent given under coercion isn't consent, it's capitulation. The revelation that Kotoyuki's own ancestor is possessing him adds another layer. He too is trapped in the expectations, forced to continue his clan's legacy regardless of his own wishes. This system crushes them both through Hinako's, though Hinako bears the greater burden as the one who must literally erase herself, her identity to participate. Shu and red capsules. Post-revelation. Shu's role in the story represents the danger of even well-intentioned manipulation. He deliberately gives Hinako the red and white capsules, Kakukara, Makakura, that contain white Laudia, knowing they will force her to speak with her inner self, to enter the other world and confront her fragmented psyche. His stated goal is to help her make a genuine choice about the marriage rather than simply being forced into it. But this too is a violation. Shu takes away Hinako's agency as he claims to help her find it. He decides what she needs, drugs her without full informed consent, and triggers the psychological breakdown that manifests as the game events. In the Fox's wedding ending, after Hinako accepts the marriage, Shu reveals the truth about the medicines and transforms into a monster, the Tsukumogami, representing his own possessive feelings toward her. The game suggests that Hinako's hallucinations led her to kill people during her actual wedding, a tragic consequence of Shu's interventions. Desire to force her to choose resulted in a psychotic rage that destroyed lives. This complicates the narrative. Even those who claim to support a woman's autonomy can become oppressor who then believes they know what's best for her. The Other World, a gauntlet of feminine suffering. The journey through Silent Hill F's Other World isn't random horror. It's a structured progression through the stages of Hinako's life and the life she expected to accept. The fields represent her childhood innocence. The school embodies her adolescence and the friendship she must abandon. Her home displays the views that shaped her. Each location forces her to confront and often literally kill representations of her family and friends, symbolizing how marriage to Fox Mask requires her to sever all previous connections. This is one of the game's most powerful metaphors. To become a bride, Hinako must commit murder. She must kill her past relationships, her very self. The game literalizes what marriage demanded of women, total sacrifice of who they were before. Among the most devastating moments are when Hinako must kill manifestations of her close friends, those bonds of genuine connection and support that exist outside a family structure. The Other World forces her to walk down the long winding path to the altar, each step marked by loss, each encounter under the severance of the ties that once defined her identity. The imagery of birds and cage reoccurs throughout the game. In Japanese media, birds are often symbolizes freedom and the soul. Hinako's wings are confined, forced into a shape that isn't natural to her, the fox. The question that game possesses through its multiple endings is whether she will fly free or have her wings permanently clipped. The endings, different fates, same trauma. Silent Hill F's multiple endings aren't simply alternate outcomes. They represent different ways of processing impossible trauma, each with its own cost. Coming home to roost, default ending. Hinako defeats her fox self but begins an endless cycle of mutual strangulation with her other self, unable to integrate or escape. The post-credit scene reveals the horrifying truth. A 22-year-old bride massacred her wedding guests during psychotic rape. This is the reality beneath all the supernatural horror. A young woman's mind shattering under unbearable pressure. Fox's wedding, bad ending. Hinako accepts the marriage and transforms fully into Shiromuku. The post-credit scene shows married life. Hinako screaming for help through her torn-off face, pleading that she doesn't want to become like her mother. Even in submission, there is no peace, only the eternal screams of the self that was sacrificed. Both Fox Mask and Shu discusses her as price. Bonding over their respectful objectification, she becomes what exactly she feared. Faceless, voiceless, nothing but a role to fulfill. The fox wags its tail. Hinako refuses her fate and battles Fox Mask in his true form as a nine-tailed kitsune. She wields an unpurified sword, rejecting the ritual entirely. With Shu's help, she defeats the fox god and escapes the dark shrine. The ending is interpreted as Hinako attempting suicide before her wedding, with Shu intervening to help her flee. She chooses freedom even if it means becoming an outcast, even if it means violence against the divine forces demanding her submission. Ebisu Gaoka in silence. True ending, the good ending. Available only after completing multiple endings, this resolution shows Hinako reconciling both aspects of herself. She confronts the revelation that Fox Mask himself was being controlled by his ancestor's spirit. Trapped in obligation, he didn't choose either. Both Hinako work together to defeat Kotoyuki's possessing ancestor, breaking the curse on the entire town. The marriage itself is annulled. Both versions of Hinako's identity return to Ebisu Gaoka, and Kotoyuki leaves to find himself. They promise to meet again in the future, not as forced partners, but potentially as equals who can choose each other freely. The ending offers what the others cannot. Time for Hinako to heal, to grow, to integrate her fractured self without the pressure of immediate decision. Time for Kotoyuki to break free from his own chains. The possibility, but not the guarantee, of love without coercion. Broader themes, women's language, and systematic oppression. Silent Hill F doesn't present Hinako's situation as unique. Throughout the game, players encounter letters and documents revealing that countless women in Ebisu Gaoka face similar fates. The game references how across many cultures and time periods, marriage was often so restricted and communication was limited. Afterward, that women developed secret languages to maintain contact with their birth families and share their suffering. When were removed from their homes and placed in isolated circumstances with only their husband's family, that they become profoundly vulnerable to abuse with no recourse. The game doesn't explicitly show these other stories, but their presence in the background reinforces that Hinako's horror is systemic, not individual. She is not fighting just her own demons. She is fighting against an entire cultural infrastructure designed to break women into acceptable shapes. The faceless bride that appears throughout the game, all wearing masks, all uniform, all without identity, represents the millions of women across cultures and throughout history who went through this same process. Some broke like Hinako nearly does, some accepted like Jungo apparently has, but all lost something essential in the transformation from individual to wife. The horror of beauty, aesthetic violence. The game's artistic direction, led by artist Kera, deliberately contrasts the grotesque with the beautiful. The spider lilies that carpet Ebisu Gaoka during their transformation are stunning but symbolizes death. The bridal imagery is elegant even as it represents horror. The rituals are presented with an aesthetic beauty that makes their violence more disturbing, not less. This design choice reflects a core theme. The horror isn't that marriage was overtly presented as terrible. The horror is that it was wrapped in beauty, tradition, and cultural pride. Women were told they should be grateful, honored, happy to participate in these elegant rituals. The disconnect between the beautiful presentation and violent reality is what creates madness. When something is too immensely beautiful and perfect, it becomes deeply unsettling. This Japanese horror concept underlines this entire game. The perfect rite, the perfect ceremony, the perfect submission, all beautiful on the surface, all requiring the death of the self underneath. Silent Hill is ultimately a meditation on what happens when women are denied the fundamental right to choose their own path. It asks, what does it do to a person's psyche when their body, their future, and their identity are treated as negotiables by everyone except themselves? What kind of horror manifests when you are told the most important decision of your life isn't yours to make? The game's answer is visceral and unflinching. It creates madness, it creates fragmentation, it creates a war within the self that can only end in some form of death. Death of the rebellious self, death of the submissive self, or death of the entire person. But the game also offers something else, the possibility of integration, of time, of healing. A true ending doesn't give us happy resolution where everything is perfect. It gives us space. Space for Hinako to exist as both herself, space to grow without the crushing weight of immediate demands, space to one day choose love rather than have it forced upon her. By transforming the psychological and social trauma of coerced marriage into supernatural horror, Silent Hill makes visible what was often invisible, the violence done to women's identity in the name of tradition, family, and duty. Every monster Hinako faces is a monster women have always faced. Every ritual she endures is a ritual women have always endured. Every loss of self she experiences is a loss women have always experienced. The game isn't subtle, and it isn't trying to be. It takes the metaphorical violence of forcing women into marriages they don't choose and make it literal. We saw Hinako cutting her arm off, getting branded, and having her face cut off. It forces players to witness and participate in what women were expected to simply accept. In doing so, Silent Hill creates not just a horror but a profound statement about bodily autonomy, identity, and fundamental human right to choose one's own path. Hinako's fight for freedom, whether she wins or loses, is every woman's fight. Her screaming face torn away and replaced with a mask is the scream of generations of women who lost themselves in the transformation from person to wife. The game asks us to witness that scream, to understand it, and to recognize that the horror of Silent Hill isn't some distant supernatural threat. It's the horror that has always existed when people are treated as property, when identity is seen as negotiable, when love is indistinguishable from ownership. That's the true terror at the heart of Silent Hill, recognizing that the monsters aren't metaphors, they are mirrors. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, which will keep me motivated to make more videos like this. Thank you.